Hello, this is Michelle Frost from Mission Mojo, and today we're going to talk a little bit about what on earth you're going to blog about in our challenge. This will be the first of a few videos because we really need to dig in and work out what it is that you should be blogging about. What do people want to hear about in your industry? How can you particularly solve the pain points that your specific customers and clients are thinking about at the moment? What is keeping them awake? So for me, while we run this through the challenge, I've decided that my ideal customer for this, the point of this exercise, is going to be a new mum, possibly, or at least a stay-at-home mum who has some kind of professional background. She might have been a teacher or a nurse or a lawyer or an accountant, but she's decided, at least while the children are not at school, that she's going to stay at home. But in order to do that, she needs to work out how she can make a little bit of extra income. So this is where I come in. I'm going to offer her private coaching in order to teach her how to create an income online so that she can be hanging out with her kids and seeing all their amazing development as they learn to speak and talk and walk and all of the cool things that happen as your children grow up, that they won't miss any of those, because that is one of her pain points. So you see how I'm talking you through exactly who my target client is, and why she even wants to talk to me and what I can solve for her. So in knowing that, I hope you know yours, and again we can have some discussions in the Facebook group about this. It's one of the most challenging things we do in business, but it is one of the most important things to try and get right and to continue to be able to have a conversation with your target market. You really need to understand what it is, what's going on in their life, and what are their pain points, what keeps them awake, that kind of thing. So going with that as my target market, what I want you to do is go over to the Google Keyword Planner, and you can just Google that, Google Keyword Planner, and you will come up with what is the Google Keyword Tool. There we go, Google Keyword Planner Tool, I think they call it. It's actually part of their advertising platform, and it's very helpful in doing what we're doing now. So this is what it will look like when you first arrive here. You may need to open a Google AdWords account. I've had one for a long time, so I've not had to go through that opening process. But what we're looking for here is to get an idea on what people are putting into the Google search engine. So what questions are they using? Because studies have actually shown that most people go to Google when they have a question. And if you think a little bit about your own use of the web and what you use it for, if you're struggling with something and you really need an answer to it, the first place you'll go is Google. And apparently at least 75% of people go to Google, and they use 3 to 4 word searches at least. So they don't use just one word and then hope that something will come up. They actually use what we call long tail, and it's important that you keep that in mind, because when it comes to creating your big blog post, you'll want to use some of these keywords. So for today, I am going to use work from home, and I'll say mums, but we'll also look at mums with an O shortly too. But just to get us started, I'll just use the Australian version. Actually, maybe I'll put the American version in as well, being MOM underneath, because you can actually put multiple ones in here. Now, the other thing to note, which we're not going to do now, but you can find a website that's already doing the cool things that you like, and you can put their URL in here, so their web address, and you can hit enter, and Google will go off and say, this is the sort of things we think this website is relevant for, the sort of keywords, what people are searching for to get here. Now, there are a whole bunch of other things down here, and you can come in here and play with it. But for us, I'm just leaving it all locations, and I'm targeting English, because basically we're online, and the sort of things that I do with coaching, I can offer that to people all the way around the world. So depending on your business, if what you do is very geographically positioned, then you might want to change that to the particular country, or even down to the state. And I think it will even do city. So you can do quite a bit of targeting in there to get an idea of search volume. Now, what you're seeing here up the top, you see you can add other keywords. Again, I can just hit a comma and add something else and hit get ideas, and more will pop down here. So the ones that I've actually put in here have popped into here, and I can see that in the last month, on average, between 1,000 and 10,000 searches have been done for work from home mums in the American way, which is a good 10 times more than the Australian MUM's version, by the way. And that there's medium competition, and that this is the suggested bid. Now, as I said, all of that information is really more about the Google AdWords, which is their advertising platform. One of the reasons I wanted you to come in here is not necessarily to think that much about this kind of thing, although the volume of search is obviously important because it gives you an idea of, you know, the kind of wave, how many people are looking it up. And, you know, if there was only one or two people, then maybe it's not a great search phrase to be using as a basis for you to write an article. Because remember, what we're looking for is basically the pain points. So obviously somebody searching for work from home mums, they might be searching for ideas that mums could have to work from home so they can stay home from with their kids. But the beautiful thing that this does for us, that Google provides, is other keywords or key phrases that might be relevant to the keywords we put up here. So as we go down, I think that so they've provided 700. So you can find all sorts of ways to search through here. You can click on the top here, so keyword by relevance, by search volume, competition and bid and things like that. But what I would like to see you do is come down here and see if anything kind of, jogs you, jumps into your head. But I could write a post on that. I could write an article on that. So this say ways to make money online. That's obviously going to be quite a popular one, I would think, with women who are trying to stay home. How to make money from home again. So you can click this little arrow on the side and it'll put it over to the side for you. And then at least you have sort of the keyword ideas here. Don't worry about in here. This is all, again, to do with your advertising area. Obviously, people want to make it, money from home easily. So I would just go through and just it's really about browsing. It's going through all the different ideas because there may be some that you've missed, in your head that you haven't considered. See how to make money on the internet. So 1,000 to 10,000 people a month have looked that up. So again, I just go through and see which ones resonate and take a note of them. So you can do that over here, or you can do it the old-fashioned way and use a pen and paper. That's up to you, depending on how you like to store your information. In saying that, when we're doing this phase of going through to try and work out what we're going to write our blog post about, I'd love it if you actually had your smartphone out on a regular basis and we're actually putting the ideas that you have into some kind of notepad in there that is synced across your computer and your phone, for example, and perhaps onto your, in my case, on my iPad, I have notes which will sync across all of them. So it doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing. I've always got something at hand that when I have this little bright idea, I can grab my phone and put that in there and I won't lose that. And then later on, whether I use it now for this blog post or whether we use it in the future for future blog posts, it's something that I will be able to use and it's of value. So that's what I'd like you to do here. Come and have a look into the keyword planner. But the other thing, just before we leave off on this video, because we don't want to make them too long, is go and do a Google search, because what you might notice is when you just do a normal Google search and you start to write the words in, underneath, Google gives you all of these other options. And it's doing that based on the fact that people have searched these things in the past. So Google's trying to be really helpful to you, trying to provide other versions, trying to predict what it is that you might be trying to search for. And it can often give you a really good handle on what people are searching on an ongoing basis in Google, to try and find the sort of information that you have in your head or in your business that you can use to write a blog post to answer one of these pain points. So go and do that, go see what you can come up with, and I will create another video shortly to show you some other methods to try and find out exactly what you're going to write about and something that's going to have the biggest impact when you do write your epic blog post in the first week of the challenge.